All right, guys, so I'm not at school today. As I mentioned to you guys before, I'm having my wedding on Saturday, so I'm not at school Friday or Monday. You are going to work through this EOC review packet with the videos of myself walking through each of the problems to help you. Obviously, you can pause the video, try the questions on your own, and then watch the video to check to see if you got them right. Okay. Biggest thing here is that there are no calculator questions on the EOC. You need to do these problems and try these problems without a calculator. No graphing calculator does most, no regular calculator. All of these are non-calculator based questions. Okay, so we're going to walk through how to do them. So again, try the questions out on your own and then come back to the video to watch and see if you got them right. All right, so question number 1, no calculator, remember. Which graph shows the solution for the system of inequalities below? Y is less than or equal to 2x plus 2. Y is greater than negative 3x minus 1. So remember, less than equal to, greater than or equal to has a solid line. Greater than or less than with no equal to has a dashed line. Okay, looking at all these problems, we do have a solid and a dashed line, so we can't eliminate any answers yet. Now, you're going to treat these problems just like y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay, only difference comes with what's solid, what's dashed, and which direction we shade. So, in the first one, your slope is 2, your y-intercept is 0, 2. So I'm going to look for a problem that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 0, 2. And the line needs to be solid. So all of these have a 0, 2, and the line is solid, so I'm good there. My slope is a positive 2, which means I'm going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. All of them go up 2 over 1, so the first one is graphed correctly. I'm just going to check that all the graphs are correct, and then we're going to kind of check which direction to shade. The next one is y is greater than negative 3x minus 1. So that means my y-intercept is negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. And they're all dashed, so that's good. My y-intercept is negative 3. That means I'm going down 3 and to the right 1. So down 3 to the right 1. Okay, down 3 to the right 1, down 3. Okay, so the lines are all graphed correctly. Next, last part is the shading. And if you don't have enough room on your paper, get a separate sheet of paper to work this stuff out. So if y is less than or equal to 2x plus 2, that means I'm going to be shading below the solid line. So below the solid line, below the solid line. This one would be above the solid line, so A would not work. If y is greater than negative 3x minus 1, that means I'm going to be shading above the dashed line. This one is not above the dashed line. This one is above the dashed line. So your answer here is C. We are below the solid line and we are above the dashed line. And remember, the part that they intersect is the solution set. Okay, number 2. The amount of medicine in Elizabeth's blood is modeled by the function m of t equals negative t squared plus 10t, where t is the number of hours after she takes the medicine. How many hours after Elizabeth takes her medicine is the amount of medicine in her blood the highest? They give you 3 answer choices. Guess what I would do? I would plug all of your answers in, and I would see which gives you the highest amount. Okay, we can go through the process of actually figuring it out, but if you have multiple choice answer choices, plug them in. So if I plug 5 in, I would have negative 5 squared plus 5 times 10 is 50. If I plug 10 in, negative 10 squared plus 10 times 10 is 100. And negative 25 squared plus 250. So 5 squared is 25. Negative 25 plus 50 is 25. 10 squared is 100. Negative 100 plus 100 is 0. And 25 squared, well, I don't really know what that is. I can't use a calculator for it. But it's going to be a really big negative number. Plus 250 will probably get me a negative number. So when is her blood the highest? 25 is the highest number here, so at 5 hours. And if you hear my cat, that's my cat. I am at home recording this. And I have a dog too, so they might be running around like crazy in the background. All right. Number 3, what is the smallest positive integer for x so that the value f of x equals 200 times 2 raised to the x is greater than the value g of x equals 500x plus 400? So again, what is the smallest positive integer for x so that the value of this function is greater than the value of this function? So let's plug in, let's make a table. Okay, let's make an xy table. So I have a g of x and I have f of x. And I want to know when f of x is greater than g of x. So at 1, if I plug 1 in for here, 500 plus 400, I get 900. If I plug 1 in here, 2 to the first power is 2. 2 times 200 is 400. That's not greater yet. Plug in 2. 500 times 2 is 1,000, plus 400 is 1,400. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 200 is 800, not greater yet. Plug in 3. 500 times 3 is 1,500, plus 400 is 1,900. Plug in 3, 2 to the third power is 8. 8 times 200 is 1,600, not greater yet. Let's plug in 4. 500 times 4 is 2,000, plus 400 is 2,400. And 2 to the fourth power, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. 16 times 200 is 3,200. So finally, 3,200 is greater than 2,400. What's the smallest positive integer for x? Well, what did we plug in for x? 4. So the answer is 4. Remember, this is no calculator, so they're not going to give you an outrageous number for you to try to solve. They're going to give you something that's reasonable for you to solve. Okay, so x is equal to 4 here. Number 4, what is the y-intercept of the function f of x equals 1/2 times 2x squared minus 4? Please do not tell me it's negative 4. You have a 1/2 in front that needs to distribute to each part of the equation. 1/2 times 2 is 1x. 1/2 times minus 4 is minus 2. So now that minus 2 is your y-intercept. So the answer here is B. Okay, because the 1/2 needs to be distributed because it's outside the parentheses. Distribute that first to get your y-intercept. Same thing, I'll go back really quick. Same thing with your slope. Your slope here is 1 because the 1/2 has to distribute to the 2 and make it a 1. Okay, number 5. All right. Number 5, a girl drops a ball from a height of 10 feet. Each time the ball hits the ground, it bounces to 2/3 its previous height. Which equation gives y the height of the ball after x bounces? So this is a exponential equation. 10 was our initial height. Okay, this is like your a of 0, if you will. 2/3 is your rate. Okay, and we have y equals a times b to the x, where a is your a at 0, right? So 10 times 2/3 raised to the x. So initial height times 2/3 raised to each bounce. So B. All right, 6, which expression is equivalent to 3 times x minus 4 squared? Now, remember, this squared means x minus 4 is happening twice. So 3 times x minus 4 times x minus 4. You can do box method. Can't use a calculator still. So x squared minus 4x plus 16. We still have a 3 in front though. So 3 times x squared minus 8x, because we combine like terms, plus 16. And we distribute the 3. 3 times x squared, 3x squared, 3 times negative 8 minus 24x. And if you look, B is already starting us on the right track. I don't know 16 times 3 off the top of my head, but it is 48, okay? And it's the only one with 3x squared minus 24. 16 times 3 would be 48, so plus 48. So again, do not distribute this 2 and say, oh, it's x squared and it's 4 squared. No, okay? It means I'm doing x minus 4 twice. All right. Number 7, Jane owns X comic books. Derek owns Y comic books. The number of comic books Jane owns is 1 less than 2 times the number Derek owns. Together they have a total of 11 comic books. How many comic books does Derek own? This is a system of equations. And again, you cannot use a calculator, so we can't do graphing. So let's set up 2 equations. Together they have a total of 11. So X plus Y, Jane plus Derek equals 11. And the number of comic books Jane owns is 1 less than 2 times the number Derek owns. So Jane owns X, and if she owns X, she also owns 1 less than 2 times the number Derek. 2 times the number Derek, 2Y, minus 1 because she's 1 less. This is a substitution one because we have an X equals. That means I'm going to take 2y minus 1 and plug it in for x in the second equation. So you not only have to write the equation correctly, but you also need to do the actual system correctly. So I'm going to take the 2y minus 1 and plug it in for x. So 2y minus 1 plus y, because that was my x, equals 11. 2y plus y is 3y minus 1 equals 11. Plus 1, I get 12. 3y equals 12, divide by 3, y equals 4. The question was, how many comic books does Derek own? Derek owns y. Derek owns 4. Okay, number 8. James is at a gift sale where everything costs $4, tax included. He has 50. He must have at least $28 remaining when he is finished buying the gifts. What is the greatest number of gifts James can buy? So this is an inequality. Okay, everything costs $4. So 4x, because we don't know the gifts that he's getting, but everything costs $4. 4x. Okay, he has 50, but he must have 28 remaining. So how much can he spend? Well, he can spend 50 minus 28 because he's got to have that 28 remaining. So he can spend 22 of his $50. And he cannot be more than that, right? So our inequality is that 4x is less than or equal to 22 because he can spend $22, which is equal to $22. He can also spend less than $22. Okay, how would I solve this? Divide by 4. X is less than or equal to 5.5. And you can't have half an item, so he can only buy, at most, 5 items, 5 gifts. Okay? So you can't have half a gift. X is less than or equal to 5.5. As soon as he does 6 items, he's gone over. Number 9. The expression negative 5t squared plus 40t predicts the height in meters of an object t seconds after a person launches it into the air. Using this expression, how many seconds will it take the object to hit the ground? So negative 5t squared plus 40t, this is a quadratic, one of the last lessons we learned about. Well, when's it going to hit the ground? It's going to hit the ground when time equals 0. Okay? It's going to hit the ground when time equals 0. So set this equal to 0 and go through and solve. First, see if there's a GCF you can pull out. My GCF that I'm going to pull out is negative 5t. I'm going to take the negative out so that I don't have a negative in the front anymore. Negative 5t. If I divide negative 5t squared by negative 5t, you're left with a t. And if I divide 40t by negative 5t, I'm left with a minus 8. You take both of these, split them, and set them equal to 0. Negative 5t equals 0, t minus 8 equals 0. Divide by negative 5. T equals 0 because 0 divided by anything is 0. Obviously, time starts at the beginning at 0, right? At 8, t equals 8. So at 2 different parts, the object's hitting the ground. At the very beginning when time is 0 and at 8 seconds. He's already launched it, so how long is it going to take it to hit the ground? Well, 0 doesn't make sense, but 8 makes sense, so 8 seconds. Number 10, the function f of x equals 1/2 x minus 6 was replaced with f of x plus k equals 1/2 x minus 4. What is the value of k? Okay, so we had this function, And our y-intercept at this function is 0, -6. Our y-intercept at this function is 0, -4. How did we get from -6 to 4? Well, I added 2, right? To get from -6 to 4, we added 2. So that means the change of k needs to be a +2. That's the only way to get from this function to this function. And the only difference in the two functions is the y-intercept. So you need to add 2. So k is 2. Okay, number 11. The function f of x equals 10,000 minus 1,500x can be used to predict the number of termites in an area x days after the area has been treated. How many termites are predicted in the area after 5 days? The key here is that it's saying x days and then it's saying 5 days. That means x is 5, okay? X is days, x is 5 here, x is 5 that we're going to plug in. So f of 5, our y, when our x is 5 is what we're trying to figure out. So 10,000 minus 1,500 times 5 equals our y. So however you do 1,500 times 5 gets you 7,500, and 10,000 minus 7,500 equals 2,500, 2,500 termites. Okay, 12, Avis is using a quadratic function to solve a problem. The factored form of the function is shown below. What's the positive solution to the problem? Remember what I told you guys. Set these both up equal to 0, go through and solve, and then interpret the answer. So 4x plus 3 equals 0. 6x minus 3 equals 0. So in the first equation, I would subtract 3, 4x equals -3, and divide by 4. X equals -3/4. Well, the problem says, what's the positive solution? That one's negative, so we're not looking for that answer. Let's look at the other one. Plus 3, 6x equals 3, divide by 6, x equals 3 over 6. 3 over 6 is positive. It is also simplified down to 1/2, so you can say 1/2. I think EOC would also take 3 over 6. Notice if it says simplified form, you want to simplify it all the way down, but I think the EOC would take 3 over 6 and 1 over 2. Okay, number 13. 2 more and then this first video is done. The cost to run a construction crane is $750 per day plus $250 per hour of use. What is the maximum number of hours the crane can be used each day if the rental to cost is not to exceed $2,500 per day? This is another inequality. Okay, so let's set it up. First of all, I could interpret an equation from this and then I could make it into an inequality. 250 hours per use, 250 times x, plus they're going to be paying $750 per day. And I just want to focus on how many hours in the day that I'm going to use it for. So the equation would be 250x plus 750. Okay, but they have this max that they cannot exceed. So if you cannot exceed that, then this expression you just made needs to be less than or equal to 2,500. They can equal the 2,500, but they also cannot go over. Okay, so 250x plus 750 is less than or equal to 2,500, and we would go through and solve. Minus 750 from both sides, 250x less than or equal to. If I subtract that, I get 1,750. And then I would want to divide by 250. And I would get x is less than or equal to 7 hours. So the maximum number of hours that they can use it for is 7. They can do less than 7, but the max they can use it for is 7. Again, all of this has been no calculator so far. Okay, the average daily high temperature for the month of May in Ocala, Florida is approximated by the function f of n equals 0.2 n plus 80, where n is the day of the month. May has 31 days. The maximum daily high temperature occurred on May 31st. What was the maximum temperature? Well, if n is it tells you n is the day of the month, they're talking about the 31st day being the hottest. So what's the max temperature? Let's plug in 31 for n. So f of 31 equals 0.2 times 31 plus 80. Okay? Multiply this out. 0.2 times 31 is 6.2 plus 80. Again, I'm not using a calculator. So 6.2 plus 80 is 86.2 degrees. 86.2 degrees. All right, that is the end of our first video. Pause, take a stretch break, try out problems on the next page before watching the second video.